Welcome back to Jerusalem. Despite international calls for a truce between Israel and Palestinian militants, the exchange of airstrikes and rockets over the Gaza border continues unabated tonight. Behind the scenes, foreign leaders are trying to broker a pause. US President Joe Biden says that he would support a ceasefire, but repeated his view that Israel does have the right to defend itself. The Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has reached out to Palestinian and regional Arab leaders, but he's also stopped short of demanding an immediate end to the fighting. So in this deafening conflict, is quiet diplomacy, far too quiet, because an end to the violence does not appear imminent. For the first time in years, the Palestinians have called a general strike today across all Palestinian territories in the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, here in Jerusalem, and in Palestinian neighbourhoods around Israel. As we discovered, the strike was widely observed. Shops were shuttered, and there were plenty of marches in solidarity with the people of Gaza and against Israel. I think it's fair to say that the elastic of any Palestinian patience that there still was has now snapped. In the old city of Jerusalem, the Via Dolorosa, or Path of Pain, lived up to its ancient name once again today, as Israeli police and soldiers clashed with Palestinian protesters. Everyone in this cramped warren of mutual suspicion is triggered for trouble. Israel's security wall separating Jerusalem from the Palestinian West Bank. As the wall has grown over the years, hope of peace has faded. On the Palestinian side, the wall is a mural, a history and graffiti of the Palestinian struggle with its icons and disasters. Soon the events of this week will be immortalized here too. Although the script is still being written by Israel's daily bombardment in Gaza. The latest slaughter included the head of internal medicine at the Al-Shifa hospital, as well as 12 women and children. It is the violence in Gaza and Hamas's willingness to stand up to Israel that has brought them out on the streets of Ramallah today, the de facto capital of a non-existent Palestinian state. The crowd here, ordinary people who've been driven to say extraordinary things. Mehdi is a salesman of electrical goods.
We have tried the diplomatic ways for over 20 years. We have gained nothing but more colonization. We have gained more settlers inside Palestine.
So what's your solution then?
Our solution.
Is it to fight?
They took our country back in 1948 with force. We have to gain it back with force, yes.
You're a salesman and you're saying that there should be force.
Yes, that's the only way.
Adnan is a business consultant.
We are all united toward having our independent state and against Israeli aggression on Gaza and Jerusalem and other places.
And do you agree with what Hamas has been doing, firing rockets against Israel? Is that the right thing to do?
It's our right to fight and to be freedom fighters, like French when they were fighting against Germany when they occupied their land, the same as Vietnamese. So all over the world, whoever is being occupying a territory, the people need to fight back in order to liberate their land. We have been under negotiation for generations, and yet we reach nowhere.
And Maria is a student of English who is too wise to make any plans for the future.
We're here because we feel helpless and we want to support our people in Gaza by any way. This is the first time since too long that we as Palestinians are coming together and uniting and working towards a common goal, which is freedom, hopefully. Saving our people, anything, literally, we want anything at this point. We're sick of being silent.
In Bethlehem, yes, the one of Bible fame, the demonstrators clashed with Israeli soldiers. The clouds of tear gas obscure the fact that the events of the last week may be a military defeat for Hamas, but a political victory for them over their Palestinian rival in the West Bank. The 85-year-old President Mahmoud Abbas meeting America's peace envoy yesterday. Abbas just scrapped the elections due this month, the first in 17 years, elections he was almost certain to lose. And then there's the other side. This explosion caused by a Hamas rocket on an Israeli farm near Gaza killed 2 Thai workers. More people would surely have died if Israel hadn't deployed its Iron Dome. Every one of these interceptor missiles costs $100,000, money well spent, but they also allow Israel not to seek a political solution. Well, joining me now here is the cultural Palestinian leader, known also as the bookseller of Jerusalem, Mahmoud Mouna, and Asaf Ronel, a journalist for the Israeli newspaper Haaretz in Jaffa. Let's start with you, Mahmoud. What was different about today, about this general strike, about these marches?
This is the only time in my lifetime, to be honest, that we Palestinians felt again that we are connected, that we are demanding pretty much the same demands. We are all asking for liberty, we're asking for freedom. We all essentially are asking to end this racism, this discrimination, this apartheid that is affecting us all really in the same way. Although we're living geographically defragmented, but actually the apartheid is uniting us finally. And that's what felt today in the streets of Bethlehem and Ramallah, and as well as Jerusalem, and also inside Palestine 48. Finally, I think the last time Palestinians were united like this in 1936 under British rule, actually. So we are finally united, and I hope our demands are clear and obvious for the international community, as well as for Israel, who's been occupying us for way too long.
So you've got this unity at the grassroots level. How do you convert that into political unity between Fatah and Hamas? That's not there, is it?
Well, I don't know if they're relevant anymore, to be honest, to the question. Certainly not the Fatah political body, I guess. But the political leader has finally now to look at the street. They need to look at the mirror, and they need to connect to the pace. They need to look at us. We also have the leaders inside 48. We also have the leaders outside Palestine. We also should not forget that the diaspora Palestinians are also united with us in their call today. They want to come back home as well. So I hope in the next phase, political leaders of the Palestinians will also try to address our issues in our real way, and they'll try to connect with us and try to translate our unity into a unity that connects them in the political level.
One of your issues is that you were supposed to have elections in this month, in the month of May, and they were scrapped by President Mahmoud Abbas. Now, he said they were scrapped because of the people of East Jerusalem couldn't vote in the sufficient numbers. But how do you feel about that?
Well, I never voted in my life.
You've never voted in your life?
I'm in my late 30s. Israel doesn't allow us to vote in Jerusalem because we are not we are residents but not citizens of Israel. So by law, we can't vote in the Israeli election, and we've been missing on quite a lot of elections in Israel. And we can't also vote in Palestine because the Israelis are not allowing the Palestinian Authority to run the election in East Jerusalem. So therefore, I have to go in the street. My voice is not being heard, is not being represented. It's my duty, actually, to go in the street and make my voice heard.
If there was an election today, and the last time you had an election was 17 years ago, but if there was one today in Ramallah, in the West Bank, who would win that election, do you think?
It's a tough question. I don't know, really. I don't know. My Palestinians are really occupied, and they really wanted someone who defend themselves. Also, the international community have failed the Palestinians in defending them. So they're looking for parties or for military wings within the Palestinian system that also defend them. So obviously, some of these militants are going to take some of the votes for Palestinians. But also, I'm hoping that the Palestinians also revert back to our legacy of being liberal and secular society, and will also vote for people who can represent us within this paradigm.
The words liberal and secular do not come to mind when you mention the name Hamas.
Well, that's Hamas' problem. That's not my problem. The Palestinian
liberation. It could become your problem here, couldn't you?
Well, for now, it's not my problem. For now, it's defending myself against Israeli aggression. The Palestinian Liberation Organization, which represents the entire Palestinians, does speak about secular and liberal Palestinian state. That is the representation body for the Palestinian people.
Finally, briefly, has Hamas's hand in this last week of trouble been strengthened?
Perhaps yes, perhaps no, I don't know. We have to wait. We have to see if Israel allows election in Jerusalem to measure that up. But the problem is not really Hamas, and the problem is not really this last wave of what people calling violence. Look, the international community, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, Israeli human rights organization Beit Salem has been calling Israel an apartheid system. We need to start to look for solution for that problem. This is the undermining problem that really has been causing the misery for us Palestinians between the river and the sea for far too long, for 73 years, and enough is enough now.
Mahmoud Mouna, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Let's go to my next guest, Asaf Ronel in Jaffa. Asaf, good evening. I'm not sure if you heard what Mahmoud Mouna just had to say there, but it does seem as if there is a change of mood and a change of politics at the grassroots. Is that the way you see it, from Israel in Jaffa?
I think that it's a bit difficult for me to judge what is going on in the West Bank. I'm pretty sure that this conflict with Gaza will end as all the others with a ceasefire at some point, hopefully sooner than later. But actually, the situation in Jaffa right now, I think I've never been in a situation like this in my life.
In what way?
The feeling here the Palestinian Jaffa is under attack. It is under attack by what seems like an organized attack by the Israeli police that are joining hands with the far-right mob that march every night from the Jewish neighborhoods around Jaffa. When the police come, they only come to stop the Palestinians. The Palestinians are organizing to defend themselves on the streets of Jaffa, and the police is using excessive force in measures that I don't think I ever saw inside the Israeli territory, inside the 48 lines.
Right.
And things that tactics that were all in the West Bank to you wanted to intimidate. Yeah.
My question really is this, when the president of Israel last week spoke about a real danger of civil war in Israel because of the trouble between Palestinian citizens of Israel and Jewish citizens of Israel, was he being too alarmist, or is that a real danger that you see where you are?
I think that from what I experienced here in Jaffa, the disappointment and the feeling of betrayal by the Palestinians here, with Israeli citizenship, with the Israeli society, the Jewish society, is as large as it used to be in the beginning of the Second Intifada 20 years ago, when the Israeli police shot and killed more than 10 Palestinian protesters inside Israel with Israeli citizenship. That was really a big break between the two societies, and it took a long time to heal. And the feeling now on the streets is the same, if not even worse. That's how I feel.
But to be
and
clear,
Palestinians are really being abused.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you because the line's so bad. I apologize, but we've only got a minute left. So you're blaming, just to be clear, you're blaming right-wing Israeli gangs of settlers as well, and you're saying the police is not just not intervening, but often complicit in this. Have I got that right?
It's more than that. When the right-wing mob comes, the police is not stopping them, and when they are stopping them, they are letting them go in a few minutes afterwards, and then they are attacking the Palestinians who are confronting them. But what the police is doing on the streets of Jaffa without any need for any far-right mob, they are abusing the population, the entire Palestinian population, in means that were not used here ever. Maybe it's more common in the West Bank, but here I don't think that I ever saw it. It's happening in front of my eyes. They are really stopping every Palestinian going around in his scooter or his bike. They're taking out his they are out tires. They're throwing the keys of the scooters to the bushes in the middle of the night, or breaking the scooters. Everyone that dares to say one word or even look the wrong way will get beaten up by the police. They are shooting at teenagers with rubber-coated bullets to the chest on a daily basis. You can see, you're walking around Jaffa and you see teenagers comparing their wounds that they have all over their bodies from. So this is the situation right now in Jaffa, and I must say that it's not like sorry.
Okay, Asaf, I'm sorry to interrupt you yet again. Really interesting stuff. I'm sorry about the line. I've got to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.